Can OLI MCBURNIE and John Lundstram help Hull City maul Sheffield United? Hello there and welcome back to the HullCityFanCentral YouTube channel, where today I'll be giving you my preview, prediction and everything you need to know ahead of Hull City versus Sheffield United live at the MKM Stadium in a possible win-win scenario I'm going to go for Hull City in this Yorkshire derby, as of course we know Sheffield United haven't started the season the best. In fact, they've only won one game this season, lost the other 7 to start off this championship campaign, only 3 points from the opening 8 games, whereas Hull City a little bit better. Of course, we'll come into that a bit more in a second, but where this one may favour Hull City a little bit more is the fact that Sheffield United have only scored 3 goals yet this season. They're the least scoring side in the championship, and whereas they've conceded quite a few as well, of course contributing to the fact that they have lost every game bar one, and they've only managed to keep 1 clean sheet, which was in that game that they won in a 1-0 capacity. So Hull City possibly handed as the favourites coming into this match, which I mean is a very, very rare statement, especially when you're coming into face against Sheffield United for Hull City, a side that seems to completely turn over Hull City, bar the last meeting of the sides last season. Of course, we did come out 3-0 the better of at Bramall Lane in that one. This one, it's maybe going to be a must-win game for both sides. Sheffield United, of course, it is a must-win game for them. They're currently rock bottom of the table, 3 points from the opening 8, as I said. But Hull City, a few rocky performances in the past few games, really wanting to solidify things down. Of course, they've done well at home this season, so it might be a must-win game for them in that scenario. But we'll make that decision as we get through the preview and prediction. We'll first of all head into an injury update. Now, some positive news for Hull City on this one. It kind of goes hand in hand with the possible team selection, which we'll talk about in a second. Matt Crooks is expected to be back in the squad after he has returned to full training in the past few days, so he'll probably be on the bench in this one. Semi Ajayi, all things looking good with him. Of course, he was an unused substitute last time out for the Tigers against Preston North End, was not involved in the starting lineup due to saying that he's not ready to start in a game. He has, however, been selected for international duty. We'll talk about that in a second. So I predict him to be on the bench and possibly a substitute used at some point within this game. Other aspects of it, Mohamed Baloumi, Joe Lindala also on the sidelines. Brandon Williams is presumably going to get back in within the squad. Maybe not start, but could be used as a substitute at some point in this game, depending on how things lay out. So we'll feed straight into Hull City predicted starting 11, powered by friends over at Fanhub. If you don't know what Fanhub is, it's a fantastic free app where you get rewarded for being a football fan for free. Go and check them out. So, here is my Hull City predicted starting 11. A few changes to what I think Sergei Kirevich might put out for this one, of course, taking into effect the absolutely disastrous start that we had against Preston North End last time out on Tuesday, and of course trying to look to utilise the players who are in recent and very good form to start off this season. As I talked about in the video yesterday, we need to really try and be making the most out of the likes of OLI MCBURNIE, Joe Geldhart and Ryan Giles, who have started the season absolutely fantastically. So this is what I think he will put out. Of course, Ivor Panda in the net. No one else can take that job away from him at the moment. Louis Coyle over in the right back position. An unchanged back line actually with John Egan, Charlie Hughes and Ryan Giles over there. Of course, Semi Ajayi could come in there, and there is a possibility maybe Brandon Williams coming in to play left back, and you can have Ryan Giles maybe playing a bit more of a left wing role, but I don't think that is fully something that Hull City will be looking into doing, especially in this game. Moving forwards, I don't think Regan Slater will come in for Amir Hadzaia-Mitrovic, who didn't have the best of times last time out for Hull City. He was one of the 3 half-time substitutes, and Regan Slater came on in one of the 3 ones that came on. Alongside him is former Sheffield United man John Lundstram, who'll be looking to try and put a sort of a button in every Sheffield United fan's mouth with this game. Ahead of that, Joe Geldhart, he's going to start this one. If he doesn't, something is desperately wrong with Sergei Kirevich after his fantastic performance coming off the bench. Really the difference maker in that game, him and Liam Miller. There is no Liam Miller starting this game, considering the fact that he is back from 11 months on the sidelines. 45 minutes, a little 45-minute stint isn't enough to really work him back up to start a game. We saw what happened to Mohamed Baloumi, and he had a bit more of a ramp up to play a starting role in that game. So I think Hull City are going to take their time. We might not see Liam Miller start, maybe not even a few games back after the international break. So it could be Kyle Joseph out on the left. Out on the right, it's going to be David Akintola back into the starting lineup. Of course, not wanting to really explore the experiment of Cody Drammer playing on the right wing. And then up top, it's going to be OLI MCBURNIE. Of course, another Sheffield United man. So 3 former Sheffield United players I've predicted in the starting lineup. And hopefully all 3 of them can help contribute to put Sheffield United to bed. So, last meetings between both sides. Of course, I've already talked about the 3-0 thumping that we handed them away at Bramall Lane earlier on this year. Of course, last season, that being. Other than that, Hull City haven't done the best against Sheffield United. Let's be honest. Through the last, I think, 15 or 16 meetings of the sides, we've only won 4 of them. Sheffield United have won 8, and there's been a couple of draws in there as well. So, past 3 meetings between both sides do favour Sheffield United, but it's all about what they are doing at the moment. Form-wise tells you it all. Look at the amount of red that is on that right-hand side of your screen. And that's not just the Sheffield United badge. That is the amount of games that they have lost. Of course, lost on Tuesday. Won their only game of the season. The only game that they've not lost this season on Saturday away at Oxford United. Of course, Oxford United, which we also beat in a bit more of a goal-frenzy manner. And then, of course, losses. And that Ipswich game was a absolutely disastrous one, which was the game that got Ruben Sayers fired from Sheffield United. I think Jayden Philogene, who's at Ipswich Town now, scored 2 against Sheffield United in that one. Hull City wise, it's looking okay. Recent fixtures, of course, 2 losses, 2 draws, and 1 win in there. Hopefully, going to convert one of them losses into a win to try and make the form look even better coming into the international break. Table wise, it's funny to look at it this early on in the season, I know, but it gives us a good picture on how both sides are looking. Of course, Hull City, they're working all the way back. Of course, the defence has been a big issue. Their defence has actually been somehow worse than Sheffield United's to start off this season. But Sergei Kievich has come out saying he's wanting the players to be more attacking in their defensive opportunities. They want them to be more decisive, more threat heavy in their defensive attributes. Want to be taking the chances that they can have. They want to be stopping everything. They want to be, as I've said time and time again, they want to be stopping the spare man that every team seems to get, and that's how the opposition is scoring against us. I mean, the 2 goals that Preston North End scored against us were complete laughing stocks, weren't they? So hopefully that is a sure factor in this one. Of course, the goals are coming for Hull City, and that is mainly due to OLI MCBURNIE and Ryan Giles partnership, or McGiles, as I think I saw Hull City put out on social medias this past week. And of course, Sheffield United, bottom of the table. It's things you love to see, isn't it? So, former Tigers, we will meet one former Tiger in this game. He's most likely going to be on the bench, as that's where he's been for the past couple of games. That's not OLI MCBURNIE. He's at Hull City. Louis Barry, of course, the man that sort of seemed to derail Hull City's summer, in essence. Of course, coming into this game, you'd probably be expecting it to be the Louis Barry feud, whereas things have sort of derailed a bit further away from that for Sheffield United, as they have started so poorly this season. But Louis Barry, of course, was on loan at Hull City for the remaining 6 months of last season, only played a couple of games due to an injury, and then therefore, because of that and a load of financial stuff that was going on at the club, Hull City were put under an embargo, fee restrictions, and we now know where we are with that standpoint. But things are looking good at Hull City at the moment. We won't try and bring up the past things at the moment. We'll try and enjoy the good times that OLI MCBURNIE and Sergei Kievich are bringing us at the moment. But we will see. Old Tiger, albeit a Tiger for a couple of games, Louis Barry, who I said most likely will be on the bench in this one for Sheffield United. So, play to watch out for. It's a very hard case to pick someone to watch out for Sheffield United coming into this game, as every player has had an absolutely horrendous start to the season. I've gone for the man who assisted their only goal in their Tuesday night fixture away at Southampton. Or at home to Southampton, I should say, sorry. And that is Gustavo Hammer. Of course, we do know Gustavo Hamer, he is a good player. He can do it Premier League, Championship. He has got some quality about him. Quite surprisingly enough that he actually stayed at Sheffield United this summer. But of course, he didn't start the season the best, in the best sort of form. But the past few games, his sort of overall play rating and form-wise has picked up a bit, and maybe looking to try and get back to this Gustavo Hamer that can really dominate any team in the Championship and go on a tear and maybe help Sheffield United boost themselves back up the table and get some results down them. But certainly he is the one to watch out for. But is there anyone really to watch out for in this current Sheffield United squad? I mean, I'm saying this now, and it is going to be Hull City's factor to try and let Sheffield United get their season back on track by giving them a 5-0 win, and then they go on an absolute tear and go and win the league. That's probably going to happen, isn't it? So I'll touch wood, cross everything that doesn't happen, but it will be a very Hull City thing for it to happen. So score prediction. I don't think that's going to happen at all. I think Hull City are going to dominate Sheffield United. Mauled by the Tigers will be sang once again, as Hull City will score 3 past Sheffield United for the second time this year in a 3-1 win, with goals coming through former Sheffield United player OLI MCBURNIE. Of course, he's going to score 1. He's going to send himself back up to the top scorer of the Championship. And lovely stuff, isn't it? OLI MCBURNIE as a Tiger. It's fantastic. Another former Sheffield United man, John Lundstrom, he'll grab his second goal of the season for Hull City. He was narrowly going to score an absolute worldy winner against Preston North End last time out before the keeper pulled off a fantastic save. So I think he will grab his second goal for the Tigers in this one. And then Joe Geltart to get himself on the score sheet, as Hull City will put 3 past Sheffield United. Of course, it's that photo of Sergei Kirich, which means it's time for you to let me know down in the comments what your predictions ahead of this game, who you think will win, and what you think the score line will be heading into this one. Hopefully, it will be a Hull City win that you are predicting, and maybe even a more dominant win that I've said, by getting mauled by the Tigers. Sheffield United hopefully are, as OLI MCBURNIE, John Lundstrom, all the former Sheffield United players that are currently flying high at Hull City will be looking to try and silence the Blades. Of course, a struggling Blades side at the moment. I will have my reaction video out after the game tomorrow, so stay tuned on the channel by liking and subscribing to keep up to date with everything Hull City. Of course, the Sheffield United game, which hopefully is going to end in a Hull City win. And there's plenty more news and content surrounding Hull City to get you through the international breaks. I'll see you in the next video. Up the Tigers!